Now, President Trump has recently signed an executive order giving agency heads more power over the selection of certain judges. This is according to an article in Politico. They write that these judges, typically promoted out of the federal civil service, end up making legal rulings that drive regulatory actions across the federal government. So, for example, if you have the head of an agency, for example, that does oil and gas or regulates oil and gas, and you say, hey, you know what? Under this executive order, I can now fire you and replace you with someone else. Well, what effect do you think that's going to have? The administration, which is friendly to oil and gas, will likely fire the judge and replace him with someone who's going to rule on the side of oil and gas. That, of course, would be absolutely disastrous. Now, right now, the federal government employs 2,000 administrative law judges, with the greatest number in the Social Security Administration. Oh, great. So if you want to attack Social Security, well, this is a perfect avenue to do so. Wonderful. Now, the new executive order, let me go back here. Those judges also adjudicate regulatory disputes within the HHS, the Federal Energy Regulatory Commission, which, again, deals with oil and gas, the NLRB, that's the National Labor Relations Board, so labor law, and the SEC, which regulates banking, financial industries. So, oh boy, their rulings can be and often are challenged in federal court. And of course, these judges, if they're challenged on for example, a new banking regulation that makes it so that banks will be able to charge higher interest rates or do more predatory loans, and the judge is on the side of the banks, well, you can see what would happen. Now, the new executive order in putting future selection of administrative law judges more directly in the hands of political appointees, they say, will make it easier for the Trump White House to compel regulatory judges to follow its anti-regulatory policies and to fire them if they don't. This is a big, big break from previous law. Now, under the previous law, which dates back to 1946, administrative law judges were chosen based on their scores in elaborate examinations, meaning that, look, we want somebody who actually knows what they're talking about, knows what they're ruling on. And if you don't know what you're going to be ruling on, then you have no business being a judge. This executive order wipes that all away. Now they say, hey, are you friendly to oil and gas? Are you friendly to the banks? Are you friendly to corporations? Wonderful, great. Hey, old judge, you're fired. Get the hell out of here. We're going to put our guy in. And then our guy, you do exactly what we tell you to do, what my donors tell you to do, and then everything's going to be great. You'll have your job for a long time. And then we'll all prosper. Except for the people, the consumers, who are going to get screwed over. So, as you can see, this is hugely upsetting. Guess what? Guess what their new criteria is for these judges? The new executive order exempts administrative law judges from that old requirement, claiming, quote, sound policy reasons for doing so. What are those sound policy reasons? Are you going to tell us at all? No, you're not. There is no explanation. We have sound policy reasons for allowing our political appointees to choose their own political appointees, which, of course, could be political hacks. It's gross, man. Look, I wonder... okay, so there's a reason for this law, right? Anybody want to guess why back in 1946 the politicians decided, hey, you know what, this would be a bad idea to have political appointees be able to pick any political appointee that they want to fill those judgeships, regardless of their qualifications? Do you have any idea why? It's because of the corruption. Likely because of rampant corruption. I mean, look, agency heads who are political appointees, to then letting them do that, letting them appoint their own political appointees, how could that ever lead to corruption? Well, it is corruption. It's going to lead to massive corruption because that's the whole point. Trump works for his donors, says, hey, head of the HHS, appoint a judge that thinks that regulations on insurance companies are unconstitutional. And guess what? That's exactly what they're going to do. Or regulations on natural gas or on the banks. They're unconstitutional. That's what's going to happen. So we put our political hacks in, and then guess what? we could deregulate everything. And this is part of the lasting damage that Trump is going to do to our government, is already doing to our government. Forget it just for a second about the enormous damage that we have Neil Gorsuch and possibly Brett Kavanaugh that could have on the Supreme Court and on the country. You also have these lower courts that are incredibly important. So make no mistake, this is actually a gigantic power grab for the executive branch. Because again, who appoints the agency heads? Donald Trump. And now the agency heads can now appoint judges to rule on these regulations. It's a gigantic power grab and just another way to destroy corporations so that they can rob you. Hey everybody, thanks for watching this video. If you want to see more like this, please hit the subscribe button below. And if you want to support truly independent progressive media, please consider becoming a patron at patreon.com/TYTNation.